Okay, we will call the meeting to order at 9:03. Do roll call. Gary? Liz? Joe is absent. Jacqueline?
Here.
Alex is absent. Barb is absent. Ellie? Susan? All right. Okay, so first item is oral communications. We'll open it up to the Zoom in just a second. I have one to read, or actually we'll do room, then Zoom. But I've got just one to read from Allison White. She writes that I'm concerned about the rise in traffic in Portola Valley. To address the situation and ensure equestrian safety, I encourage you to consider horse crossing signs at Golden Oaks and Alpine Road, as well as Hillview and Alpine Road. I've ridden in Portola Valley in over 25 years and hope you will consider my request. Thank you for your continued interest in preserving the safety of all who use the trails in Portola Valley. Yours truly, Allison White, horse owner, horses stabled on Grove Drive. I think we will pass this on to the BPTNS committee, because I don't know that the Trails Committee does any signage other than the actual trail signs. Is that correct, Howard?
Yes, it's best to send it to the chair of the BPTS committee, Ed Holland.
Okay, great. Okay, we have comments in the room. Teresa Coleman.
Hi, I just wanted to bring up one thing that was raised at a conservation committee meeting a couple of last month's meeting. It has been observed, and this may be a thing of the past, but it was observed that contractors are taking a shortcut and driving along the trail on Alpine Road next to Dorothy Ford Field Park open space to get to the property across Los Trancos Creek rather than stopping, opening the gates and driving their trucks through the road. So they've been driving along the trail and then going up to the road. So it's just, I wanted to bring that to the Trails Committee's attention. This may be a thing of the past because there is a stop work order on that activity across the creek, but if it hasn't, just be aware of that. And I don't know if it's a situation where you could put one of those posts in the middle of the trail that would prevent a vehicle from being able to have access or not, but committee asked that I bring it to your attention.
Okay. We'll follow up on that to see what's possible and what we can do. This is on the Dwight Crowder Path. Do you know where the entrance, was there discussion about where they're coming out? Are they coming in from the?
They drive past the.
So they're coming from the 280 side.
They're coming from the 280
past.
side. They're going past, and just before the ball field, there's an opportunity that you can turn left and cut
and
through,
come back down,
and then drive in that way.
Okay. Okay, anyone else from the room? Doesn't look like it. Oh, wait, no, we got one more. Come on up. That one, yeah. Hi, Karen.
I just wanted to second the letter that you got. I had the same issue when I've been writing again for trails for 25 plus years. And I have observed the same thing. And I just wanted to add that I'm particularly concerned about the crossing right in front of Alpine Inn because you've got traffic from Rastradero, you've got traffic from Golden Oak, and you're right in the middle behind the bush where they can't see you coming around this curve. And we've had to dodge cars several times just to get out into the road. But then when you cross the road, you're going to continue on, you're going into the Zotz parking lot in that narrow area there. And sometimes they don't keep the cars parked out of that area. So it's really hard to maneuver into there. So that whole area is very congested and dangerous for horse riders. And so personally, I prefer to cross farther down the road if I have to go to the preserve and headed down that direction because I can see both ways the cars coming. And it's just far safer for me and my horse. So not only would the sign help, but that whole area is just to cross right there on a horse. When cars frequently do not slow down and stop for you. Um, it's,
And
it's,
you're speaking about both Alpine and Ross Trudero?
yeah, that whole intersection where you cross from Golden Oak and into Rossville, that direction. It's, on a horse, it's really, really scary sometimes. With traffic not even slowing down occasionally.
Yeah.
And I've had that problem even at Alpine and Westridge in the crosswalk.
Yep.
Sometimes they don't even slow down for you there when you're standing there halfway into the intersection.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wanted to
Okay.
bring that up for you.
Well, thank
Thank
you. Yeah, we will engage the BPTNS bike pedestrian traffic.
Maybe you might want to, you might want to attend the BPTS meeting because they control the crosswalks, we don't. Yeah, so I mean, it's powerful to have you come. But I
Okay.
hope it's clear that we don't have any authority. So we will pass it on to BPTS, but I do think it's powerful when you come.
I was just gonna say, the only thing I'd add to that is, you know, I mean, this is a big issue for kids too, right? For just kids' safety. So it's really community wide, I would argue. And because from like a safe routes to school perspective, that's with kids biking. And I now have 10-year-olds and I'm like terrified to have them walk to Alpine Hills because they're still not the most aware all the time. And like, it really is a tricky, and we've talked about with our Safe Routes to School initiative that we'd like to have a combined meeting with BPTS to kind of address and talk about some of the issues all along the Alpine corridor. And I just feel like, as we all know, it's hard to get too many meetings. So I wonder if there could be a meeting talking about some of the Alpine Trail safety issues across the board for all users. That might be the most effective forum to discuss. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we when we started the Safe Route to School program, it actually was an Alpine Trail program because we knew that there was issues all along the Alpine Trail. Then we kind of narrowed it down to Safe Routes to School. But that crossing you're talking about just dumps you out into the road. It's there's really no crosswalk at all, or anything. And so maybe as part of if the Stanford project ever moves forward, you know, that's going to intensify, right? Because
Yep.
a lot more people will be coming down that trail, heading in that direction. So maybe we can also look at the trail part of that, how it comes down to the road, if we can regrade it, if we can open it up a little bit there or something, and then BPTS would of course take over from the curb. You know, we ended the curb. So as we you know, stay in the loop on Stanford, maybe that's something to add to the list.
Yeah. Judith, yeah.
So when I was on the Trails Committee, there was no BPTS and then they created it. They're not expressly in charge of equestrian. So honestly, I think you actually could, as a committee, discuss and make a recommendation at a future meeting, because this is an oral communication right now. And yes, I understand the curb onward is BPTS, but there is no voice from the equestrian community necessarily unless they turn up. To your point, if they want to have a voice, they should. So consider that, and I'll leave it to you to discuss.
Yeah, no, it's I actually had a question about who is responsible for the signs for equestrians because BPTNS doesn't have the E in it, so. Okay. All right, well, so we know how to do it then. I guess we have the folks who know how to do it. Okay, thank you for those comments. Do we have any on the Zoom? Any hands raised, Howard?
Yes, there is a 650678.
Okay, 650-678. Go ahead and just.
Good morning, this is Caroline. Good morning, Caroline Vertongen. I'm a member of PPTS.
Yeah, go ahead,
I
Caroline.
thank you for all the comments. I thank all the residents for, again, expressing the concerns. I would appreciate if the chair will share that with the Chair Holland. And I think Jacqueline brought up a very good point. We have asked for a collaborative meeting for several months now, and I hope that the chairs can arrange that. As for the equestrians, both BPTS and myself and the Trails Committee, we have to honor the equestrians because it's in our general plan. We have the guidelines, we have the codes, so there is no excuse anymore. So hopefully we can come up with that collaborative effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Do you have anybody else?
No other hands raised.
Okay, let's move on to 3A, approval of the minutes from the past meetings. Let's start with October 11th. I think the only thing that I have noted is Howard's title. I'm not sure, were you still interim town manager at this point? I don't think you were.
No, there's a Sharif Pittman is the town manager now, so that should be corrected just to Public Works Director only.
Yep, so we'll take that off. Any other comments, corrections for the minutes from October 11th? Anyone want to make a motion to approve? Second. All in favor? Okay, everyone in favor, Jacqueline abstained. Okay, let's move on to October 18th. I think we have the same update on Howard's title here. Any other questions, comments, corrections? Motion to approve? Okay, second? All those in favor? Okay, I think we're unanimous on that one. Okay. First item on the agenda is the Hawthorns Trails. So the next Hawthorns meeting is this Saturday, December 16th at 9 a.m. I believe it is at the Mid-Penn Administrative Office, which is at 5050 El Camino in Los Altos. There also will be a video conference. I don't have that information yet. But the thing that I wanted to bring to the committee today is, and it's in the packet, is just the proposal that Karen Vatra, who's on the POG, had put forth for the trails in the Hawthorns. And I think it generally, in terms of the trails, the layout is very aligned with the ideas that we had. There's the improvement of the Alpine Trail. There's the connection to the Sweet Springs Trail. There's the connection to Valley Oak and to Los Trancos to improve that trail. There's also the spur onto the that beautiful vista that is kind of in the, I guess, southwestern portion of the property. The one thing that I thought we might want to emphasize is just our desire for multi-use, and that pink trail accommodates all users rather than being, I think I am particularly concerned that it will exclude bicycles. And I think we've had lots of discussion about needing a place for bicycles to go in town. So that was the only thought that I had when we were doing this, and I mainly wanted to bring it to the committee for thoughts, and if we wanted to send any, I will be attending the meeting, but send any other comments from the committee on the proposed trails in the property. That's a great question. I don't think it's more than 2 miles. I think it's less than that. Yes. Yeah, I think it's, the bicycle access here, I think is definitely going to be much more. I mean, I would think it would be used by kids more than anyone else, and that's honestly, I think the biggest need that we have in the town is for kids on bikes. I mean, we see even in the ranch, we see carved out little tiny places where kids are riding, but there's not enough space for them to do anything. It says that on the disc line. It does not say that on the pink one, and I want to have clarification there because I'm concerned that it's only multi-use on the disc line.
So the entrance from Sweet Springs is problematic that way, right? Because we don't allow bikes on Sweet Springs, and I don't foresee that changing. It's such a steep trail. It's a ranch property trail, so changing the easement there would probably be very difficult. However, if you come in off the street straight at it, which I don't know how many, maybe you have a better idea, Fred, how many people would actually do that. Kids probably would do that. So
Well, they would come from the Alpine, the Alpine, the black trail there, I think is where people would connect in. for the
yeah,
most
so
part.
so having a way for bikes to move through the system, I think is really important.
Yep.
So if we can identify, and maybe it is the Alpine entrance, that's going to be the predominant entrance for bikes, exits for bikes. Then it's just a matter of maybe the loop
Yeah.
being multi-use, right? And
Yeah.
not so much. I don't know about the connections to Los Trancos. I think you're probably more familiar with those than I am. If those being multi-use would be beneficial, it seems like it would because it's a way again to get bikes through
Yep.
the trail system.
Yeah, right now people come through, you can't quite see it on the map. They come down Valley Oak and there is that little bridge that goes across the creek there and bicycles use that today. And this would be a better way to kind of get them through. Any other comments about? I mean, I'm pretty excited.
I'm very excited.
It's
I saw
better.
this map and I was thrilled. Yeah,
It's
great-
better
great
than the
work,
first.
Karen and everybody else on the POG. I mean, to pull this off is just dream come true. So job
Yeah.
well done and full support.
All right. Let's move on to the trail map. So two goals with having the trail map on here. One is to just give everyone a sense of where we are in terms of progress. And then since I don't think we had everyone here for our discussion last time, I wanted to give one more opportunity for the committee to discuss any thoughts from on the map. I'll start with just where we are in terms of process. I have action items from Howard. Howard has a second round of feedback on the map, and I have action items to chase down a few things and before we get it on the website. So that's in my to-do list. And I think I can close those out this month, and then we can get a draft up. So that's the general part of the process. And then I believe we also have feedback on the resolution that I have to work through. Feedback from Howard on that too. But I think we can tackle both of those in the next couple of weeks. Get those done. But that said, I wanted to give one last chance for the committee to discuss any concerns, thoughts, since we sort of sat with it for a while. So I'll open up the floor to comments on the map, and the map is in the packet too. So if anyone on the Zoom has comments too. Yeah, go ahead, Susan.
So I'm looking at the both maps are different in terms of the one is in color, the other one is black and white. But I'm trying to, but they have different information on. One map shows town center and one map doesn't. One map shows the different preserves, which I think is important, so people can delineate between what is a Portola Valley Trail and what is a.
Oh yeah, this one right here, I think actually. Ellie's just pulling your mic.
Okay, so, yeah, so one of the maps shows, like Coal Mine Ridge, but more importantly, it shows the different preserves that really aren't our trails. I think it's important to have that on the map, but I think it's also important to delineate that these aren't actually Portola Valley trails. And the thing that I mentioned before, and I haven't seen it changed, is the one that says on the map, there's a little bit of information that says San Mateo County requires dogs on leash in all public trails. The problem is dogs need to be on leash everywhere. Dogs must be on leash. There's a PV municipal code. Anyway, it's right here. But the thing is, to me, that implies that dogs need to be on leash in all public trails, it should be on, but anyway, on all public trails. But does that mean that dogs don't need to be on leash like on the way to the public trails? So I definitely think that wording needs to be tightened up. I think I have a few others, but I'll let others speak as I look on
One
this.
comment, it would be great if you detailed those out, I think, and emailed them to us, but also on, I see town center on both. And so,
I see Springdown on one, but not Town Center. Am I missing?
yeah,
Oh, okay. But I mean, okay. Great.
Yeah, so I think definitely the edits to sort of the copy edit things, I think we can certainly take care of. I think the other idea that we had is both of these styles of map have different uses, and we're not constrained in terms of how many links we can have on the website. So we can offer both of these maps because I think they have, different pros and cons. There are some folks who really like the contrast of the black and white map. They find it, if you're familiar with the area already, it gives you a quicker sense of the where things are versus the map with all of the relief information and the different colors does give you sort of the bigger picture, but it can be a little bit more difficult to find the detail. I think we can offer both of them. And so I wanted to just make sure that people were clear that this isn't necessarily an either or choice, but it's offering a couple of different views, and any feedback that we have for those would be useful.
so I think I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to follow up to try and clarify your question on the dog one. I am noticing like they say something different on each one. So I think like on the second one, is that wording? That feels to me accurate. It's saying San Mateo County requires dogs on leash in all public spaces, not on all public trails.
Wouldn't it be easier just to quote this? I mean, this is like the most like legally correct thing to say.
Dogs must be on leash.
I mean, period. It's like short and sweet
Yeah,
versus,
yeah, I think we
like a
can.
big
Yeah.
explanation.
Yep.
I
I
was
mean, we
just
could
noticing
even
it was
quote the
different on the
PV
two, but-
municipal code if we need to, right?
Yeah, the map technically has not just Portola Valley and not just San Mateo County on it as well. But I think we can follow up on what the right wording is here to make it clear and unambiguous. I think your one of your important points here is right now, at least on one of them, is it's ambiguous because it says on public trails, but not necessarily everywhere, which is what
And the
what
thing
the
is,
law says.
Honestly, San Mateo County itself, San Mateo County also has a leash law. So
Yeah.
we could also quote that.
But dogs must be on leash, I think is great feedback because that's just like,
Yeah.
it's plain and simple.
Succinct.
Yep.
Yeah, and actually, I love that, Susan. It cites the municipal code out there. So really, they want more information.
So, I am looking at this map. I'm sorry, and it
Yeah.
says Springdown, but I don't see where it says Town Center. Am I missing something? I mean, where's,
On the. Yeah,
okay.
So
I'm just.
you're
thinking that-
suggesting some sort of orientation to town center on the black and white one.
I mean, I think we should have like, since it's the center of our town, I think that should be an important point on the map.
Yep. Yeah, I think just all feedback here is great. We're trying to just make this as good as we can. It's tough to make the print larger. I do believe that we have, if you were to have this say on your phone, I think you can zoom in, and that is helpful.
What?
The Portola Trail, the way so this is on, Portola at Wayside. It says Portola Trail, the A and the R are mushed together, and then the B, well, the PO looks like a B.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And it's just probably just
Yeah.
an anomaly from the, and the same thing's kind of happening here, but.
Yeah, and
but-
Springdown has the R and the I are
yeah,
kind of
but
mushed
just-
together.
Yeah,
That one's
okay.
probably the worst one I've seen.
Yeah,
I think we can check with Dave on the font stuff. I mean, I think the colored one, the font's actually easier to read. Something got funny in the black and white version. It's
Yeah.
almost like it's bolded and then the
Right.
letters are like too chunky or something.
well, they're mushing together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it could be a software rendering issue. Yeah. Kind of, what, you got like a 2012 laptop there, Gary? What are you doing? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, any other thoughts? Just sort of,
so I just want to make sure that we do note that it, Windy Hill, whatever is Mid-Penn, whatever is City of Palo Alto.
Yeah.
To distinguish between our trails. I mean, I love the fact that they're all on the map because it's regional.
Yep.
But, I don't want people to think that if there's a maintenance issue on Ham's Gulch, they're going to report it to Howard. I think they.
well, I think we already have, I think that issue exists already. I don't know that this will make it worse, but it's a good point.
Are you saying on the, are you saying on the black and white trail, you want that? Because on the colored, it is indicated.
In the black and white.
So you
it
say-
just has the trails, but it doesn't say
So,
Windy Hill. It doesn't say Pearson or Esther.
Yeah, I think we can take a look to see if there's a
It's not on
way,
here.
right, if there, I think the challenge is, so the colors, the reason the colors are nice is because they denote the trails system. And then you can see which trails kind of go with that. In the black and white, it's hard because you can still write Windy Hill, you can still write Pearson Ross or Darrow. But whether people then make the conclusion that, oh, all of those trails, or they know which ones, where the preserve stops and ends is difficult without having the color. So again, it's, there's advantages and disadvantages to the two different approaches. And I don't think we're going to get to the point where both maps do all the same work, but I think collectively they can do more than either can by itself. Do you have any comments from anyone from the public about this at all?
No hands raised.
Okay. Well, if there are other, I think just copywriting issues, send them to me. And Liz and I will work with Dave to get those fixed.
can I, should we make a motion that with those changes, we could, or attempt to change them, can report back at the next meeting, but that we could take a vote whether we want to upload these, or is it too soon?
I'm not even sure we need a vote to have them uploaded as drafts, which I think I'll go back to the meetings, the minutes to see if, because I think we made that decision that we were okay uploading them as drafts. They're in the public domain now since they're part of our packet. Yeah, Susan.
I have one more point. I see that Triangle Park is on here. In the color, and I actually think the color is, the black and white is kind of simpler and easier to read. I think the color is important so we can see the different entities involved. But anyway, I see Triangle Park on this. I see Town Center, which I really like. I'm wondering if we could add a few more landmarks. If, as long as we have Triangle Park, could we add Rosati Field and Ford Field, or is that like too much? Because these are
Rosati,
anchoring points in the town.
Rosati is there and
Oh, is it?
Ford. On the colored one, Rosati and Ford are there.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. And Ford Field is there too? Oh,
Mhm.
sorry.
Yep.
What do you expect? from them?
No, it's, we had explored.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah. We had explored other landmarks on here. At one point, we had every school in town, and we had Roberts.
Almost too much.
This was sort of like the balance of where we
Exactly.
thought we had good anchoring.
Perfect.
I have a, oh, go ahead. Adam.
Well, I just wanted to touch base just to remind that Fred and I are going to go through the map and also the specifically the resolutions and how it affects the map. So I can understand, I can see if there are things in the resolution and map that fall into the municipal code, being the council has to approve certain things because of the resolution, then I can see that as releasing a map without those things and then slowly changing those things as we go.
Yep.
That could be, but Fred and I still have to go through the resolutions to make sure there's no conflicts. That's all. Just wanted to note that.
Yep, that was that's the action item. Is Howard has highlighted a bunch of things for me. I have to track them down and then we'll.
Yeah, I have that in the note, in the minutes. So noted. And question, when we do upload to the website, there had been that separate website project, which Jacqueline and I think Alex were doing. And I think I got sort of tabled, and I'm just wondering, are we just going to put it up where the current one is? And then work on the website improvements later?
I honestly have not thought that far ahead. My assumption would be that wherever the town staff thinks we should put it is where I would put it. Probably the same page where the existing one is and say draft new map, but
Yeah, I'd have to relook. I mean, Alex and I actually did have one meeting, but it was many months ago, where we took a very initial stab at some things that looked kind of like funny locations or could be more concise, but I honestly don't remember, and we haven't talked in a few months about it, so I'd have to.
Okay, so maybe we can put it on an agenda for another meeting.
Yeah.
And also on the agenda for another meeting is for how to let the public know that it's been changed and kind of market it.
Okay, any other thoughts, any other comments on map before we move on? Okay, so the next item is Palmer Trail. We had, I think, a couple of emails from folks who were concerned about Palmer Trail. But I believe, Howard, you have the update on what the status is of that.
Okay. I can provide just a quick update.
Yeah,
So the Palmer Trail, there, as I understand, there was a comment about the work. So there is some work being done there now. There's a fence being placed up. They did pull a permit with the building and planning department. I did go out with the inspector also. So there are comments, building comments that are occurring too. There's a building part with the fence. But as it relates to the trail, it appears, and when I look at the map, that they placed the trail back onto where the trail easement is. So as I understand it, in talking with the maintenance crew also, is that trees fell from the next door, kind of the northern neighbor there, and those trees were there for quite a while. Then users of the trail then went towards the backyard of one of the homeowners.
got it.
So in looking at the map right now, all they're doing is placing the trail back where it was before. I mean, once again, this is without a land survey or anything, but looking at the subdivision maps and looking at their submitted plans, that's where the trail was. And it appears that they haven't made improvements. I mean, it's more clear, more wide, and it'll look like that for probably, as anywhere that you do trail work, in 6 to 8 months, things will grow back. But it is a little wider now due to the using the trail also to move equipment around also while placing the fence up. So I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay. Well,
What kind of permit was pulled?
It was a fence permit that was pulled.
Fence permit. So the work that's being done is only a fence?
I have to double check with the building planning department. The question was concerning the fence, so I asked concerning a fence, do they have a permit? And the question is, yes, they do have a permit.
Because, we've been trying to get the building and planning department to widen the scope of when it's time for Trails and Paths Committee to weigh in on site development permits. So if there was a site development permit pulled, I'm wondering why we weren't put in the loop on that. I'd like to find out about these things before the work is done so we can give comments rather than reacting. And, you know, several years ago, when I first joined the committee, we looked at every site development permit, period. You know that, Howard. And now they're being somewhat selective about what they give to us. So Laura's gone. I don't know how John feels about this. We had a number of standing requests in with Laura to deal with this, including our checklist for ADUs and things like that. And we really didn't get any response back on any of that stuff. I know Laura was probably just too busy. So maybe we can revisit that and ask John or whoever the new planner will be to widen that scope back to where it used to be and just let us look at every site development. You know, the reason being is that if there's a trail across the street, we're not getting notified, right? We're only getting notified as a trail on the property. And so what ends up happening is like what happened on Meadowood, what happened on Shawnee. And I think if we can weigh in earlier, then we can minimize those kinds of problems.
Yeah, we did get contacted about the Priory one recently, and hopefully that's a step in the right direction, but that's not the only.
Yeah, there's a bigger Priory one coming.
Yes,
so,
yes,
right?
yes. Jacqueline, do you have?
Oh, I was just, is this the one, is it the land that connects down by Cherokee where Palmer hits Cherokee?
Yes, the entrance is there. Yes.
Well, so I very much agree with what you're saying. And at the same time, I can say I walk that trail very regularly. And to give credit, I actually think it's very obvious that the trail in that area looks the best it's looked in like a couple of years. So fortunately, I would argue that one worked out, but it's wider, it's improved, and it was pretty obvious that it was, yeah, it was really nice, fortunately.
Do I do a thank you note to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention that this was also brought up to Conservation Committee, and there actually was a lot of grading that was done on that trail. And so they widened it, they took down the trees, they stumped some of the trunks in as a retaining wall above, I think it's like a little, I won't say creek, but a water exit pathway along that creek. And I don't know how the compaction was looked at, how the surfacing was done, or any of that sort of thing. So this, it may not be a situation of thank you. It may be a situation of we're going to have a big problem if we have the kind of rains we had previously. So just so you all on the Trails Committee are aware, if you've seen it, you saw it's wide. They scraped, they kind of dumped, they swooshed, yeah, this deep of the trunks of the trees in. Very, very nice workers, really nice people, but there may still be some issues around this.
Yeah.
And
That
that's
may
fair.
affect the
You
trail.
would have a better sense. I'm going solely off of it. It looked nice, and from a walking standpoint, it
Yeah.
is, but yeah. as
Yeah,
far as
it-
further impact.
So I guess if I could summarize this, it seems like we're happy with the location. They kept the location. The trail is still there, which is good. Maybe there's some questions in terms of how the work was done or what the sort of nature of the trail is, but that's
We can inspect that. We
Yeah.
intend to inspect a final inspection. I was there during a progress.
Great.
And I explained to them that the trail needs to be compacted. It needs to be done to trail standards. And I explained to them the erosion control that
Yep.
needs to be placed also. So they were cognizant of that. And once the project is over, we'll do a final inspection walkthrough of the area.
Yeah, and then just the third, I think, larger point that Gary's making is we need to get back into this cadence of when site development permits are pulled, Trails Committee consults on potential issues with trail. Because even, I mean, in this latest Priory one, there's no work that's being done on a trail per se, but there are some important trails where people might park, they might put equipment on top of them, those kinds of other things like that we've seen in the past that we just want to make sure that folks are aware of.
So I will remind John Biggs, I will mention it to John Biggs, the interim building and planning director, But I think anything that got submitted to Laura, if you happen to have emails, if you could forward them also to John Biggs, just J Biggs, BIGGS at. Net.
Great. Okay, well, glad that that trail is in good shape though, or at least still in the space that it was. Okay, so Safe Routes to School, the main reason I put this on here is I wanted to see if we had clarification. There had been an email that I had received about who's the right entity to issue Safe Routes to School. And I wanted to clarify for us whether, make sure we knew who that was when there is an update, when there is an update to Safe Routes to School, what's the channel through which that will come, and or whether or not we're working with the right entities. In the email chain that I saw, I believe Safe Routes to School is not issued by the town. Howard, can you confirm? I think it's by the school district and
The
Go ahead.
previous Safe Routes to School, the town did not establish that map, but somehow it was posted on the town's website. So Carrie Rust at that time was, I think, funded by the school and the county to put that together. So it was funded by the county in collaboration with the school. I don't recall the town being involved, and then the map got posted on the website though. But it was something that I don't recall the town being involved in.
okay.
And it didn't come, I don't recall it coming to the Trails Committee at the time. I don't know. I would lean on some of the old, the committee members here, if they recall it, but it was, I do know what Carrie Rust was. It was a funded program through the county, San Mateo County, I think Office of Education, in collaboration with, directly with the school.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a national program. It's right. And I wouldn't use that model the way it went down last time is how we should do it today. Right. I think we should do it properly. So I think we maybe reach out to the national group, that's the National Center that sponsors this. The school district doesn't have jurisdiction over the trails, right? So I wouldn't want to just solely put it on them. I think it's a great idea to come, maybe have a member or two from our committee come and give a presentation to the school, let them know what we're talking about. The school district can't really tell students and families and parents what to do once they leave their campus, right? They have no jurisdiction. However, the school district could accept the as part of a national program and say, hey, okay, we accept this. This looks good. But again, they don't have jurisdiction to approve it, or is kind of how I would be thinking of it right now.
Okay.
So a presentation would be great, and then the school district could accept it. But the approval, I think the town really should have some level of approval on this, simply because it's the town's jurisdiction. Nobody on the town owns
Yep.
these. Right? Yeah. So if the town simply doesn't want to have any part of it, then as long as we meet the national requirements, and on the program we say this is a national program and it meets national requirements, then maybe that's all that has to be done. But the town, of course, would have to be okay with it going on the website. We shouldn't do what we did last time, right? Just put it up there about the town's group.
A question, clarifying question?
Yeah.
What is your question? What is the business problem we're trying to solve? I'm like, why, this is
So
in the
I
simplest format, it could just be a simple map that this committee came up with, and it's helpful to parents, and let's put it up. But
Yep.
it sounds like there's something more we could do.
so there was a question on email that I received about whether we have the standing to post this map, since we didn't produce it originally. And so really what I want to get down, I want to run down is like, are we okay to post it? Are we okay to update it? What's the right process for making sure that if we're going to, folks have done a lot of work on this, and just to make sure that we are able to actually capitalize on that work and actually post something, and that we're okay to post it in ideally on the town website. But there were questions about how this was done in the past, and the way that we're doing it now is different from how it was done in the past. And really, I wanted to understand whether there's actually a problem there.
So is it because we're calling it Safe Routes to Schools, and that's like a national name?
That's a great question. I don't know. there was a process through which it was done previously, and that process doesn't seem to exist anymore. Because someone was funded, who I don't, is Carrie still at the,
No,
Okay.
she was a resident. I think, yeah,
Yeah.
she was a resident or still is a resident.
Carrie Rust, okay. So since the way that it was produced doesn't exist anymore, I wanted to make sure that there aren't any issues with the way that we're doing it today. And it sounds like we don't necessarily have certainty, or maybe Judith and I can follow up on this, just to make sure. Okay, great. I just want to make sure that we actually can do this and we're not missing something that we need to be doing before we push it forward.
Yeah, and it sounds like you'll take the next step of having I guess I'm kind of like Liz, I'm not following that. If there's some like terminology, because it's national, we're not supposed to use, I think that's one thing, but I don't see why our town can't just
I
have our own philosophy around.
Yeah, I agree. The question that came to me was, should the town be doing this? And we're part of the town. And my thinking is, yes, it's perfectly appropriate for the town to be doing this. But I wanted to make sure we explored it, and there wasn't some other entity that had done it in the past.
The one thing I could remember that we discussed earlier on the subcommittee over a year ago was the potential to get grant funding through the Safe Routes to School national system
Mhm.
for some of the widening of, particularly, for example, on the bridge and things like that, that we thought about. We never got traction on that at all. But that would be like the one thing that comes to mind where we sort of needed to meet requirements.
Okay.
So I know, Caroline, are you still on the call? Possibly not.
Yes, I am.
Okay, well,
I am.
Caroline's
Can you
been-
hear me? I am.
Yep.
Caroline's been emailing me because she has more of this background from what was done in the past, and she's been doing research on this, the San Mateo County of Education and their fellowship program. And Caroline, if you want to take 30 seconds or a minute to, you've done more of the research and could give a quicker, better probably overview than I've only had time to skim over it really in the last 24 hours here on what's happening or did happen and the opportunity that now exists.
Yes, thank you so much. So this all came very late. Right before Thanksgiving, we finally got back information back from the Department of Education. So despite the fact that this is a national initiative, there's also a local initiative under the San Mateo and Santa Clara County. It just, you have to find the right ways, who is writing the grants and who issues the grants. It's very complicated. Like on BPTS, we have somebody who's part of these programs. But I contacted especially the education department because Portola Valley had a wonderful program in 2013, 2014. It even has the map on there. This is a map issued from CCAG. I forget what the full explanation is of CCAG, but it shows we have those bike lanes on the map, and this is locally. So I also appreciate, or I applaud the comment, this should be a collaborative effort, and the town is involved. We need to improve our crosswalks. We need to improve the connection between the trails and the roads. We cannot just do this, and the schools have to be involved. It's, like I said, it's a collaborative effort, and we hope we can achieve that. But right now there are some grants, and the first grant application is due January 9th. And of course, with our process, we're never going to reach that, but it should be a message. Let's not stop here. Let's continue to look for it, and knowing that to get this to town council, it will take 3 months unless we change the process. That's my comment. Thank you.
So what Caroline had sent to me and that I looked at is, yes, there is right now a travel fellowship application that's out there with San Mateo County of Education. And I think it's through this process that years ago, but the timing of it is, I mean, 3 weeks from now, they need like a large team, a proposal, like we know how our town works. That's not happening. But then I'm kind of confused, if I'm being honest though, as far as what they give, I'm not, they help with Here's what it says. It says they help with some suggested route maps for identified schools. I'd say we've done that. They help with walk audits
that.
and like auditing the routes. I would say our team here has done that. They help with some project materials and implementation. I think they provide some support around like consulting firms that actually like look at what improvements could be made. It says they provide some project materials and implementation, some walk to school day support, bike pedestrian education, and safety campaigns. I guess my argument, certainly could be a nice opportunity to involve, but I'm also not sure that these aren't things we could accomplish on our.
Yeah.
own.
Yeah,
Again, just-
so it seems like, I guess, we're gonna follow up in terms of the town, making sure that we're all aligned with having the town involved. I think it's this committee's recommendation. Maybe we should take a vote of that the town should be involved in issuing safe routes to school. I guess maybe issuing the guidance, the map. I mean, you can't really separate the map from the identification and the promotion of safe routes to school.
So it's likely going to have to be the town, because I've got the California Ed Code right up here that covers this. It's section 10900 for reference if you want to note that. But it basically talks about how the district can use its own land for systems of recreation and improve them for that purpose. If it's not their land, then they have to partner with other local entities, other public authorities, essentially. So the district would partner with the town and come up with a program. And this is something I can talk to our superintendent about. And we can even we have access to a San Mateo County education attorney who can clarify these things for us. But it looks like it would be a cooperation, a program. And I think from this committee's, what our purpose was essentially to make sure that the easements match the map, that bikes were really allowed on the trails. And I think that's really all this committee can do. We can make a recommendation that the town sponsor such a program and partnership with the school. And then I think it needs to go to council perhaps to, decide if they want to direct staff to engage in such a program.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Judith?
Yes.
So I think we need more guidance on what we're dealing with, right? What we're doing is updating a pre-existing map that also includes a safe route to school component that's already existing. So how do we do that properly? And I've asked Catherine to consider that. But at the end of the day, the town knows its trails and owns easements to its trails. So I don't see any way the town isn't involved. The question is whether somebody else needs to be aware, brought into the loop, and if anything super formal needs to happen. And I don't see why, but it's the question.
Yeah, I think that's a good framing of it. And I put it on here because there were questions raised to me over email and I didn't know the answers to them. So I think we have enough input here to track them down. And the committee is supportive of this project still. So we'll note this as a follow-up to dot our I's and cross our T's on how to issue the map.
Yeah, and it could be that we're just updating something that exists and it's a minor thing in the big scheme of things. Or it could be that there's more formality than we appreciated and we should do it right. I don't know which of those we're dealing with. So Catherine is, I mean, it's good to bring her in the loop anyway, because she's getting up to speed on all these issues. So I would take a moment. I suggested she reach out to you.
Okay.
But I'm happy to participate too.
Okay.
Yeah, one way to think about it is like the bike to school program, right? The bike to school days, things like that. These are programs that the school district partners with either local agencies like the town or San Mateo County. We promote them. However, we really don't have any authority to enforce kids to bike to school, right? We don't have any authority to tell them what routes to take. However, the safe routes would be a component to that, perhaps where we would advertise bike to school day, safe routes to schools, and obviously we encourage kids to bike to school. So, you know, we could give that information to the town and say, hey, this is kind of how we see this working, and town could decide how that would play out in their.
And
side.
coordinate with
Yeah,
other
coordinate,
jurisdictions if
right.
need be.
Okay. That gets us through our agenda. What's that? An F? Oh, I think we are all looking at the draft that I sent, not the one that was finally issued. So yes, F, Howard,
Thank you.
that was added because it's from, the town staff puts that on.
Oh, got it.
So you're looking at the same one I'm looking at, which is the one that I emailed out before. What's that? Yes, it's easier to find mine. That's exactly right. Go ahead, Howard.
I got mine from the website, and the website includes a full package. So,
Yes, yes.
So the trail work for November, this time of the year, November, it was only 2 hours. We don't do much. It's a lot of the work was in the summer, weed whacking and removing weeds. And really just in November, we just look out for fallen trees. So you'll probably note here the work that was done, the 2 hours is cleared fallen tree on the Admiral Quilter. And of course, on Palmer, we investigated the construction. I had Scott go out there with me and we took a look at the trail. I've been out there 2 or 3 times for the Palmer Trail when requested to. So that was the work that was done in November. I can tell you, so water bars, we started this month because this is the time of year to do it. We've started, Scott has started on the Royal and Bay Laurel. We concentrate on the Coal Mine Ridge area first. Then we start going to the Blue Oaks areas and then the other areas, and probably be, targeting the end of January to be done. And of course, I offer any volunteer help that we can get clearing water bars on our public trails. It would be great also. So that is the work. And once again, there's no budget because that is all internal work that is done by town staff. So I'm here to answer any questions on the trail work. And then you can also, once again, contact PV Connect. I'll offer some thoughts also as to the crossings that were brought up during oral communications, because I also see that as a maintenance that I can help out too, instead of waiting for signs to try to go out there and look at, okay, is there brush to be cut? Can we grade something? Can we just immediately talk to Alpine Inn to adjust their parking? There may be some things on a maintenance level we could do too. So are there any questions that I can answer on any maintenance so far?
Go ahead, Susan.
I had a question about Shady Trail. I haven't been on it recently, but my neighbor told me that there are parts of it that don't look that stable. Is that correct? Or, okay. I know you've been on it.
Yeah, I was on it. There's that washout that I think has caution tape on it. There's was it about halfway, sort of in the middle? I don't know. Teresa, is this what you want to talk about?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's Shady Trail, yes, the, that aspect of it, no.
Yeah, there is that washout there and it does look more precarious than,
Is it scheduled to be repaired? I guess
Yeah.
that's the question.
Yeah, we're working with, so some of that is, we're trying to work with FEMA to supply funding for that. And we're trying to get an answer of yes or no. But in the meantime, we'll take a look at it again, but the lower part, we wind because we have a little bit more easement. So we wind the trail, I think, south a little bit, but it is a steep grade because of the seasonal creek there.
Okay.
And that would be extensive. That's an extensive repair.
yeah.
In your opinion, it's safe though, right? Safe for passage and safe for, we don't need to close the trail.
No, I don't believe we need to close the trail because we widen the trail. And so the
saw
trail
that,
itself
yeah.
is almost 10 foot wide still.
It's just the undermining that might be going on underneath there. It's hard. I'm not a civil engineer. I don't know what's going on under there.
Well, and it's in contrast to the rest of the trail. If you work to, that's the only part of the trail where you get too close to the edge, you might kind of trip down. I mean, it's not
That's a long fall.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember it from the few, maybe, but you said it was extensive and expensive, or one or the other? Expensive, right?
I think the repair would be extensive
That's-
and expensive.
Yeah, yeah, it's not something normal. I mean, it is more involved than
Exactly.
normal maintenance. It's gonna be
That's a Pat Dempsey fix, right?
It's a we'll have to hire a contractor and bring in riprap and go from the bottom of the drainage and work also all the way back up. So it'll be extensive.
Is that same, the FEMA money, are you seeking that for the Eagle Trail as well? Because the Eagle has similar issues, although the Eagle probably just needs to be moved away from the creek, I guess.
Yeah, the Eagle Trail was almost built. It was a volunteer project, as I understand, decades ago.
Eagle Scout?
Eagle Scout,
Yeah.
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 And it was almost built right against the creek. So inherently, those things were going to happen because it was placed right next to the creek.
But we can come back to Eagle Trail some other time.
The other problem on Shady, and Howard, you know, this is ongoing, and I've been complaining about this for a long time, is the drainage ditch along the northern side there where it flattens out, gets plugged up, and so the water flows over the trail. And it's really done a job on the nice base rock that the town has put in there. It's almost gone now. And so when it rains, that section gets real muddy. This is near, I think, where Brenda's house comes down, Susan, if you can imagine what her gate is, Brenda Monk's. You know, yeah, it's like halfway down the trail. It's a very flat section. It's got the green fence on the right-hand side. So there, when it rains heavily, that ditch clogs up. So the water goes right over the trail, ends up on the other side, and it's washed out all the base rock, right? So makes the all season part of that not so good in the winter.
We'll take a look. The crew and I will go up, take a look at those items.
Teresa?
And that was what I was following up on because I was asked to follow up again about the areas of Shady Trail that are not part of the washout. And we were told that there was going to be inspections performed in November. I understand that didn't happen. But again, it's the silting up issue at the other parts of the trail that are causing the actual trail to be washed out. That is the issue that has been brought up that I've been asked to follow up on again. Thank
And-
you.
On the inspection, we did go, the crew did go up there. We had to bring FEMA up there to take a look at what they may participate in or not.
Yeah, you know, part of the problem, we recognized this a long time ago, was that the drainage ditch there is on private property and off the easement, if I'm not mistaken. So the town can't really go work on private property, and homeowners, I don't know if they're cooperative or not, or what the real issue is there, but it's complicated, right? Unfortunately.
And to dovetail on what Gary said, you're exactly right. I mean, when any of the collapsed areas, the easement that we have is pretty much to the edge of the trail. The town does not own the Seasonal Creek drainage ditch area that is on the north side of the trail. Yeah, we can look at that. Yeah. We'll look at that, but I'm talking about the sloughed off areas. It's gonna have to be a collaboration between us and potentially the neighbors, because Gary is correct. We own literally to the edge of the trail tread, and after that, it's private property where we don't have an easement. I just wanted to clarify that because there's a lot of people asking, well, where was the property line before? And it is a fence line.
Any other comments on trail work or item F? Okay. We have a motion to adjourn.
I have my hand up.
Oh, go
I have
ahead.
my hand up. Thank
Go ahead.
you. This is a question for Howard. Can you tell this committee about the huge water loss that residents have now reported for several months, and I believe it's at Menorca. We don't know which trails have been involved, but what you reported at the last BPTS meeting is at this time, you have come out with cold water, you have come out with the sewer company, nobody seems to find a solution. We don't even know if it's property from Portola Valley or Stanford. So I
Sorry,
was wondering if you have an update.
Is this a trails issue?
Well, I assume there's some trails because people have expressed concerns about it.
I'm sorry, maybe others could understand. I missed, I couldn't hear what trails, what section of town.
Well, I think Alpine Trail might be one of them, but I don't know which trail. It is by Menorca. So Howard knows about the issue, and perhaps Howard can give us an update or can give this committee an update of what's going on.
Yeah, if I can, Fred?
Yeah, go
I'll be
ahead.
really quick about it.
Okay.
I don't believe it affects a trail. It's not
Okay.
a trail issue, but there is a water leak on Minoka that we've been spending quite a bit of time on that involves Cal Water investigating, West Bay Sanitary to investigate, our town geologist. We've been out there and it is a mysterious leak of water that's coming out of the hillside. And we're trying to determine if it's a spring or not. That's why we involved the town geologist, but it is something that we are actively working on. It does not involve a trail, though there's a Minoka trail there. It is not wetting the trail. This specifically wets the road, and then the water then falls into a catch basin. Thank
Okay.
you. Or a drainage ditch. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that update. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Susan moved to adjourn. All right, we are adjourned at 10:09 a.m. Thanks, everybody.